Hello and welcome to the first airing of the original radio show, CreepTales. I'm your host, and charming storyteller, Moon. And I have a creepy, weird story, just for you. The sky was already dark by the time I completed my shift at the office. I was interning at a Japanese company in the Kofu city of Yamanashi Prefecture. It was late in October and the cold wind pinched my cheeks as I rode my cycle. To add to the chill, it had been drizzling lazily since afternoon and the wet road had turned into a glossy mirror, reflecting a mosaic of colors. I cycled back to my apartment, which was no more than 900 meters from the office. The lights were lit, but the corridors were deserted, as usual. I had never seen my neighbors even though I had been living there for over a month. Occasionally, I heard muffled noises from the room next door, but that was all. I parked my bike and headed to a supermarket which was right behind my apartment. Being in the countryside, Kofu had very few malls. In fact, I only knew of one big cinema complex, which was quite far from where I lived. So, spending time in supermarkets had become a habit for me. Also, it was Friday night, and I had to buy groceries. As I approached the sliding gates of the huge structure, I noticed, through the glass walls, that the crowd was thinner than usual. There were hardly any cars in the parking zone, and very few cycles in the stands. I picked up a basket at the entrance and walked in. Even though I knew a bit of Japanese, I could hardly read any food labels, thanks to the confusing fonts. So, I always stuck with what I could see and tell, which were fruits, vegetables and occasionally, meat. On my way to the fresh produce, I passed by the cold food section where I noticed an old lady staring at heaps of tofu. I could relate to her. There was just so much to choose from. I took some time myself to decide what to buy: spring onions, broccoli, carrots, bananas, apples, and well, there was a lot more I could take, but I decided to grab just one more item: oranges. As I dribbled through the plastic-wrapped packs of 3, my eyes caught some movement. I bent closer and there it was again. A fly was trapped inside one of the packs. I picked it up and turned the pack around in my hands, looking for any holes or tears, but there were none. That's odd, I thought. If the fly had been trapped during the packing process, it wouldn't be alive till now. So, there had to be some sort of opening. I spent some more time searching, but the packaging was perfect. Finally, I decided to ask the staff for help. I started walking to the other side of the store and noticed the old lady from before. She was now staring at meat, with a large packet of tofu resting in her basket. I kept walking till I reached the bento section, and bingo, there was a male staff putting lunchboxes on a table. I checked the packet one last time to spot the fly, so that I didn't waste their time looking for it. However, this time, I couldn't find anything other than oranges. The mysterious fly was gone. I put down my basket on the ground and checked the oranges till I felt absolutely sure. Then I walked back to the fruits corner and kept it where I had taken it from. For some reason, I felt strange. I didn't buy any oranges that night. When I exited the market, the drizzle had turned to proper rain. I pulled up the hood of my sweatshirt and jogged out of the parking lot. I think I saw the same old lady one more time. She was walking slowly towards an alley opposite to where I live. Her umbrella had tilted to one side, because she was holding her bag with both hands. I wanted to help her out, but thunder rumbled at the wrong time, and I decided to help some other day. I returned to my room, partially soaked, and switched on the lights. The stale air felt calming, and the day's fatigue melted away. I took off my shoes and kept them in the bathroom. My plastic bag of groceries was also wet, so I kept it in the sink. For a moment my heart sank when the thought of clothes drying outside crossed my mind, but I remembered that I had already picked them up in the morning. Relieved, I switched on the heater, changed out of my wet clothes and turned on the TV. There were only 8 channels and I selected a game show to play as background music. Japanese reality TV was my top choice whenever I didn't have time to select anything. It was good for listening practice, and once you got the jokes, it was funny as hell. I steamed some rice, fried some veggies, added hot water to a packet of instant miso soup, and my dinner was ready in 20. I was hungry and ate quickly. It was around 10 when I started wrapping up. I cleaned the room, did my dishes, and also wiped the mud off of my shoes and placed it vertically along the entrance. I switched off the TV, the heater, and the lights before plopping down on the hard mattress. I noticed that the dog that had been barking continuously had calmed down. The rain too had stopped. It grew eerily quiet, like the entire Kofu had fallen asleep all at once. Now, from here on, the night gets really odd. I didn't see any ghosts or anything, but my experience did scare me. That night, I had the strangest dream. I don't remember it very well, but there was a woman. She resembled the old lady from the supermarket. She was on top of me. Her knees were on my chest, and she was pushing down with all her strength, as if to squash me. It got harder to breathe, and my heart was pounding in my ears. Even though she was close enough for her hair to tickle my neck, her face was shadowed. I started losing consciousness in the dream, and consequently, waking up in the real world. But the nightmare continued. Something kept pushing me down on the mattress. The force was particularly strong around my shoulders. I opened my eyes to make sense of what was going on, but I couldn't see anything. The room was pitch black. From as far as I could tell, there wasn't anyone on top of me. But then, what was going on? I tried to move, hopelessly. The pressure wasn't releasing, and I was growing lightheaded by the second. I thought of shouting, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't make a noise. I clutched onto the blanket, with both my hands, and tried to focus on something, anything. And then, I heard it. A faint buzzing sound from far away. I paid close attention to the sound. It started growing in my ears, and felt like it was slowly enveloping the entire room. It wasn't strong like a bee's hum, but rather, dull and irritating. Slowly, the pressure subsided, and my shoulders were free to move. My mind, though, was traumatized. Even though I could move now, a different kind of fear gripped my core, and I stayed a statue. It felt like something was watching me from the darkness of the ceiling, and if I were to move, it would move too. Suddenly, random knowledge that I had acquired over the internet came flooding back to me, derailing my disturbing train of thoughts, and I was reminded of sleep paralysis. Yes, that's it. It's all in my head. I consoled myself internally. This gave me a bit of courage to move around in bed. I turned to the side and checked my phone. It was almost 2 in the morning. I lay back again, and stared up at the ceiling. Now that I had calmed down a bit, I was trying to think of happy things. A field of flowers, bright sunshine, dogs, butterflies, bees humming, and a fly. Wait a minute, what is that? As my eyes adjusted to the darkness of the room, I could make out a tiny silhouette right above me. There was a fly on the roof. Something told me that I had just found the source of the buzzing from before. The more my eyes adjusted, the better I could see. The fly wasn't moving at all. In fact, it seemed like it was directly staring down at the bed, observing. This made me uncomfortable. It was just a stupid little fly. Why should I feel uneasy? But then, I remembered the fly from the supermarket. Could it be the same one? Assuming it was, how could it be here? And assuming it really was, why was it here? Was it grateful that I had tried to save it, or angry that I had failed? Did it try to wake me up from the nightmare, or did it cause the terrifying dream in the first place? The fly was so small, and yet, in that moment, it was so big, much bigger than me. I had many questions but no answers. After all, I couldn't speak to the fly. My memory is a little hazy after that. I remember the dog barking, and then I probably fell asleep. When I woke up the next morning, the memories of the previous night came rushing back. But there was no fly on the ceiling anymore. And no use in me worrying either. I had the weekend off and wanted to enjoy myself instead of contemplating over insects. However, when I got up from the bed, there was something in the room that should not have been there. Smack right in the middle of the table was a pack of oranges, the plastic torn from one side. I knew I hadn't bought any, so how did these get here? I decided to do what any sensible person would do in this situation. I got ready for the day, took the oranges, and disposed off of them at the Kofu train station, several kilometers from my place. This incident with the fly never happened again, and I never bought any oranges for as long as I stayed there. I reckoned, no creepy oranges equals no creepy flies. That brings us to the end of the first show. I'll be back soon with another creepy tale. Until then, stay safe, and bye-bye.